Today, we are diving into a metal that is often overlooked and overshadowed by its big brother gold. Yet, this metal is at the front line of industrial demand, monetary debate, and investment opportunity. If you haven't guessed by now, that metal is silver. So we're going to dive deep and explore why is silver back into the spotlight. Silver has recently reached over $50 an ounce, the first time since the 1980s when the Hunt brothers cornered the market. But there's a lot of talk about a supply crunch that is unfolding. So what does that mean for you and your pockets? Okay, so as we get started, why does silver matter at all? Silver is not just a shiny metal, it has a lot of functional value. It is the best electrical conductor of all metals, as it is used in electronics, circuit boards, connectors, and mobile devices. It is also essential for solar panels. Many of you may remember that there was a global focus on electrifying the world, and as solar panels became more in demand, so did silver. Even the rise of hybrid and electric vehicles, the demand for silver has increased as these vehicles use more silver than older cars. They are used in the vehicle's electronics as well as battery management systems. Silver also finds its way into medical devices. So when you take a visit to the doctor, the machinery that is used likely uses silver. It is also used in chemical catalysts as well as industrial applications. And outside of this industrial demand for silver, there is the investment demand, as it is used as a monetary metal to store purchasing power in the forms of coins, bars, jewelry, etc. Hence, silver is a monetary and industrial metal, giving it a dual role in demand. Since we mentioned the word demand, it's important that we look at a year-by-year trend of silver supply and demand. So to track the supply of silver, we have to look at three different things: the mine output, recycling, as well as above-ground inventories. As you may remember, during the pandemic of 2020, many mines were shut down. Many people were locked inside their homes. Many people could not go and work for a long time. Now you can imagine what kind of impact this had on economies around the world. We saw supply crunches that resulted from supply chain disruptions. We saw inflation rise, etc., etc. So in 2021, this was the first of 5 annual supply deficits in the silver market. Silver mine production remained relatively flat globally, constrained by the fact that silver is a byproduct of other metal mining such as lead, zinc, copper, and gold. This means that when base metal mining doesn't rise, silver output doesn't rise as much. Secondary supplies such as recycling help fill some of the gap for this supply deficit. And above ground stocks such as vault holdings and bullion bars began to get drawn down as this metal was needed for the industrial demand. Then fast forward to 2022, where we recorded a record supply shortfall. That supply shortfall was 238 million ounces. Mine production didn't rise significantly to meet the demand, and many mines faced headwinds, declining ore grades and disruptions. And even though recycling rose somewhat, the above ground stocks was being drained noticeably. Then in 2023, the shortfall continued as there was a 184 million ounce deficit. Industrial demand for electronics and solar panels surged, and recycling grew, but not as much to cover the amount of demand. And above ground inventories, especially available for delivery in London and the COMEX, declined even further. Then we get to 2024, where according to the Silver Institute, there was a deficit of about 149 million ounces. Mine production rose in 2024 to about 820 million ounces. Recycling reached an all-time high of about 194 million ounces. However, total supply could not meet demand, so the above-ground inventories continued to draw down. Some estimates say that the cumulative deficits for this time period was about 678 million ounces. And this 678 million ounces is from 2021 to 2024, so we are still operating at a deficit. And for 2025, it is projected that the mining output will increase. However, the demand is also increasing as well. There's a projected deficit of 117 million ounces to about 150 million ounces for the year 2025. So let's take a closer look at two key components beyond mining. This is the above ground supply as well as recycling. Though in 2024, recycling rose about 6% to 194 million ounces. This was a 12-year high. However, the demand for silver exceeds 1 billion ounces. Then we have above ground stock. These are coins, bars, ETF holdings, as well as other metal that is sitting in vaults or investors' hands. And one may be inclined to think, well, there must be plenty of silver to go around. But there is a big nuance. Much of that supply is not readily available to go meet the demand. Some research reports that the decade of inventory buildup has effectively been wiped out by the deficits of 2021 and 2022. In short, accessible stock is shrinking and drawdowns increase supply risk. So think of the above ground stocks as a buffer. By no means is this buffer infinite. The more you draw down and the less you add, the buffer continues to decrease until there's pressure on the price of the metal or delivery stress whenever it is demanded that the metal be delivered. So can we just crank up the mines and just get more silver out of the ground? Well, it's not exactly that easy. One core reason for the shortage is that mines and production cannot ramp up fast enough. As I mentioned earlier, that much of silver is a byproduct of other metals that are being mined, such as lead, zinc, copper, and gold. So just because you crank up the mining, that doesn't necessarily mean that you get more silver out of the ground. And primary new silver mines take about 8 to 15 years to even get up and running. This is from discovery to permitting to production. And even when mines expand, ore grades are declining, as well as costs have been elevated because we have been in an inflationary environment. And in some regions where mining exists, there could be jurisdictional risks, whether that be logistically or socially. And even though recycling has been on an uptrend, it is not enough to meet the demand that is exceeding the supply. The demand is increasing faster than the supply is increasing. And this is what I mean by a structural shortage. Demand keeps rising, supply growth is muted, and inventories are being drawn down, all simultaneously. Now that we have covered mining supply and demand, let's talk about something that rarely happens in the silver market, and this is called backwardation. In a normal commodities market, you will see contango. That means that the futures or the price for future delivery is higher than the current spot price today. It covers storage, insurance, and financing costs. But in backwardation, it flips, where the spot price is higher than the futures market. Why? Because people want the metal now, and they are willing to bid above what tomorrow is selling for. In silver's case, we're seeing exactly this. The spot price of silver has exceeded the futures contract prices. This is a serious red alert. It says that the immediate physical delivery is tight. Inventories are low, available metal is scarce, and users and investors are willing to pay up now rather than wait. So supply isn't just constrained for the future, it is constrained today. Industries that use this metal in things that we use every day can't just wait for production or recycling to increase. They need to get it now. So for investors and stackers like you and I, this suggests that the physical metal is harder to source, which also means that prices can go significantly higher. As we know, many guests that have been on our show have been saying triple-digit silver is in the cards. So think of this as a silver squeeze 3.0. In the 80s, you had the Hunt brothers who cornered the market and wanted to squeeze the price, and the powers that be changed the rules right from under them. In 2021, we had Wall Street silver and many retail investors that tried to corner the market and squeeze the market. The price of silver went to about $30 an ounce during that time. However, it corrected very quickly. But now we have something way bigger. Retail investors and industrial demand is competing for the same metal. And frankly, there isn't enough of this metal to go around. So we are seeing that in real time by the price increases in silver. So I believe that silver is going to hit triple digits at some point in the near future, for all the reasons that I've laid out here today and more. As we know that silver has been added to the critical metals and minerals list by President Donald Trump. And many countries around the world are seeing the need for this metal. So you have corporations, industries, states, nations, as well as investors all competing for a limited supply. So my bet is that the silver price is going to go higher. I hope that this was helpful for you as you seek to understand the silver market and what is happening and why is silver above $48 an ounce. Remember, it is likely that the price is going to go much higher. However, there's no guarantees, so do your own due diligence. Keep watching the experts that we are bringing onto the show, as they are experts in this topic. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that you can stay updated with our latest interviews as well as segments like this. Thank you all for watching.